Oh, I'll not read that.
All right, number 10. Our current Board of Trustees were voted one of the top 5 school boards in the state of Texas last year by the TASA, the Texas Association of School Administrators. Our school board also follows an adopted social contract to ensure professionalism, collaboration, respect, noble intentions, and that Hayes CISD is represented in a positive way. All sitting and newly elected board members agree to follow this social contract. Based on a recent FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, it was discovered that written communications from some candidates to current school board members and administration displayed extreme oppositional behavior to the point of being combative and insulting. If elected, what would be your plan to repair relationships and ensure the board maintains a level of professionalism and mutual respect? I didn't turn it on yet.
Don't start my timer. Oh my goodness, I can talk about social contracts like all night long. I love talking about social contracts. And I'm so proud of our board who worked so hard, worked cohesively to move our district forward. We came from a district in years past, we had 3 improvement needed campuses. We had failing schools. We had high turnover, low morale. That's when we had low morale. And thanks to the leadership of Dr. Wright and a board that was committed to not listening to the noise of the outside and strictly focusing on student achievement and doing right by all kids, were we able to move forward. Now, a social contract is something that you develop with your current board. It's something that needs to be crafted and developed and needs to have that buy-in from everybody on the board. So it is imperative, if there are new folks that join the board, it is imperative that they have that collaboration with the rest of the board, making sure that we all agree to those terms. Because it's not just about setting high expectations for our students, for our district, for our superintendent. It's setting high expectations for our board and for ourselves and of each other. And that means having respect, being professional, and you are an ambassador of the district, and you should act accordingly.
Thank you. Okay, so this has a couple segments for me. I remember when I was first appointed on the FBOC committee, it was a pretty contentious committee. And right after that appointment, Dr. Wright came in and came to our first meeting, and he brought a lady with him. He's like, all right, that's it. We're gonna do a social contract. We're gonna do that as a committee, because he felt like it was really important that we've got to all start tying some things together, that we can work together and we get it to accomplish a singular goal. Now, after we did that, I can tell you that there was some resistance from that social contract, but in the end, once we got it finally written and done, I'm going to tell you that was a huge turning point for the committee, for working together, listening to everybody's ideas, communicating with each other. Even if we didn't all get along, that's okay, but we still were able to get to the singular point. And I can definitely say congratulations to this board. I've been to, almost every board meeting in the last few years. And I can tell you that when a board works together, they accomplish a lot together. And so that social contract passed on by Dr. Wright's leadership to this current board, I really helped, kept this board focused and ready to go and tackle what we've just been through. So I'm proud to be a part of that. I'm going to be proud to be a part of that. And so congratulations to this board. You guys did a great job.
I think that diversity in ideas and experience are vital to move forward. Of course, there's a level of professionalism, of course. I have been in a high-stress, highly debatable profession for a long time. Difficult conversations and arguments and disagreements are very common. However, finding a common ground and, of course, speaking respectfully to each other, building a relationship, growing together is fantastic and appropriate. And if you are a representative of the district, of course, that's an important piece. However, it's also important that we look at the people that don't have a voice here. And there are a lot. About 70% of our kids are marginalized. And a lot of the things that are brought up in the meetings and the perspective of those that speak on these very important issues do not take into consideration that they are simply the minority and kids need more support, our teachers need more support. So yes, we can disagree, that's perfectly fine. But as long as we have that mutual respect and the underlying commitment to do better, I think it's fantastic to develop new social contracts every single year that we have new board members. Okay, thank you so much.
May I ask for some context around this question?
It's about me.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it's about me.
cool.
Yeah, it was very, very directed.
Ah, all right, well, that's easy enough then.
Yeah.
Very interesting question, especially leading with the stat on how the school board was the top 5 in the state. So, moving past that, social contracts. In this context, a social contract, as I understand it, is a commitment to one another that we will respect one another, we will operate as civilized human beings. The way that I heard Trustee Orozco's response is that the social contract we need is to protect the board, is to protect the board members. Whereas I would like to flip that and say, what about the social contract that we sign with our voters and our communities who put us in the position to actually be in the place to have us, to need a social contract on a school board. I would, using this as an example, when Trustee Orozco disallowed a vote on a mask mandate for around COVID, there was another board member who brought it up to the board. There was some support, and that person wasn't given the credibility to have the voice heard. And that trustee was speaking on behalf of his voters and the people who signed that social contract
I
with
need a
him.
point of order because that is incorrect. Please clarify. I know that you all attend the board meetings. Please clarify
Is this
that.
number one, is it whether or not I'm right, is that allowed?
Well, you are speaking something that's not true, so you just need to clarify for the public. There's no vote.
I understand, but do you have the ability to stand up and to
I'm asking
dictate
for a point
rules?
of order.
Okay, I'm just asking, I'm curious. Just
Yes, let's go back to the actual question, and if you could just focus on what a social contract is, and in other words, if you were actually elected, would you go along with being part of the social contract? The social contract is actually so that the board can actually move forward as a board and make the decisions that it has to make for the school district as a whole.
A board that does not respect one another is a board that isn't going to get anything done, plain and simple. I've lived my whole life trying to figure out where I fit into the world, and it took me a long time to understand that my behavior dictates the behavior that comes back to me. So if I am there under a hypothetical social contract, I would act the same way as I would as just a dad walking down the street. I don't need a social contract to tell me that not to be a jerk or not to disrespect the people whom I need to work with in order to get things done that are in the best interests of our kids, our teachers, our communities. I'm here for the next 15 years with my kids in this district. Got a 6 and a 4-year-old, so I'm going to do whatever it takes, whether it's a social contract, a handshake, I couldn't care less. But I'm here to get along with everybody so we can actually do things that people want. Thank you.